Yeah, Ole Miss. They play Thursday night, I think.
Thursday.
And so they're still alive.
Against Miami.
Getting ready to play Miami, and then Indiana, Oregon right after that. So it'll be well watched, and I think all of America. If you're not with Oregon or Indiana or Miami, you're pulling for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
We're all pulling. Everybody's pulling for Ole Miss right now. Seems like.
Who'd have thought that we'd all be Ole Miss fans?
Yeah.
Because when Lane Kiffin was there, we kind of rooted against him.
Yeah,
so.
they're sort of underdogs in this playoff.
Oh, yeah.
And
especially with what's going on with the coaching staff.
And with coaching staff
like
going
that.
back and forth. So America, we love to pull for the underdog a little bit.
Another Dooley Noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Coach Spurrier will be joining us today, and that'll be a lot of fun. We'll talk to him about a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to cover. In fact, I wrote my back nine yesterday. I write it on Sundays now for at patreon.com/Dooley Noted if you want to go and become a member. We're having some fun stuff on there. But when I was writing it, I go, I need a back 12. There's so much to cover. So we'll cover as much as we can today. Robbie Andrew will join us for Yes, No Way, or maybe just to let you know, on Thursday, Scott Strickland is going to be our guest. We got a lot to talk to him about. Monday, Coach Spurrier will not be here. He'll be up at Duke University getting some surgery. I don't know if he's even having surgery. He's going to have him look at his back and see what they can help him out with. I'm right there with him. So Chris Lowe is going to join us from On 3. Does a great job. One of my best friends. I love that guy. And then on the following Thursday, our friend Matt McCall is going to join us. We'll talk some basketball with him. We've got a lot of stuff coming up going forward. Let's get to our Royal Blues starting five. And it is brought to you by our good friend Randy Royal over at Royal Blue Yacht Sales, the only place to go. If you want to buy a boat, he does a great job. Royal Blue Yacht Sales. All right, our Royal Blue starting five, starting with number one, and that is, we'll start with basketball. Another tough loss. Just they seem to find a way in all these big games to lose. There's just something that's just not quite there. But it's not like they're a bad team. 76-74 to Missouri, at Missouri. Good crowd, loud crowd. They just want to get in out of the cold. Look, that's the way it's going to be, and that's the thing. I love Tom Hart to death, but if he said reigning champs one more time, I was going to come through my TV, and I've already broken two of my rules. I'll get to the second one later. I made these, what do you call them? When you have a New Year's resolutions? There you go. I made a resolution. I couldn't think of the word. Resolutions. I put them on Patreon on the site there for me. But anyway, I broke two of them. I'll get to the other ones later. But that was one. I got mad at an announcer, and I love him to death. He's one of our best announcers out there. But reigning champs. But that's the problem. Is that these guys have to understand you're not the reigning. You are the reigning champs, but it has nothing to do with this year's team, and the other team doesn't know that, and they're playing their butt off to beat the reigning champs. You're not the reigning champs, and yet you are. It's hard for me to put it into words. That's why they didn't ask me to give a speech about the patch, but I believe in that. I believe in the patch. That you got to. The trouble is if you're Florida, in football and basketball. People like playing against that patch too. It's not you want to play for it, but people like to play against it. They get a little bit more juiced up for it. I'm telling you, that's the way it is. Now, it's that way for Georgia. It's that way for Alabama. It's been that way for Florida forever, though, because they've always been considered the outsiders. Anyway, that's a rant that I wasn't planning on getting into, but Condon taking 4 threes, 5 for 28 now. And he's got, I talked about this in the back nine, he's got Castleton disease. And the Castleton came back and they go, well, take more threes because we want to make sure you can shoot well. We want to see it in game action. He couldn't make them very often and missed a ton of them. He was open. It's like the Corey Brewer. Billy Donovan told me that story after Corey Brewer long left, but that when Corey was a freshman, he'd come down and he'd take threes and miss them, and he'd go, "Coach, I'm wide open." He goes, "Yeah, you're wide open because you can't make it." Now, Corey became a great shooter for Florida and was a huge factor shooting threes, in addition to everything else he did. And I love Corey to death, you know that. But that was a good point. That's what it feels like with Castleton. You're wide open, yes, because you don't make them very often. You've accomplished 5. That's 15 points over the series of how many games now? 14 games? So that's not good. Anyway, it's not just him, though. This team shot 2 for 15 as a team in the second half. That's the biggest reason they lost. Relied on the 3 and didn't make them. This is where they tend to, and they got tied in rebounds. I don't know if that was an effort thing or what. Condon getting the 3 or 4 fouls, 3 in the first half didn't help. I feel like Condon's having a weird year in that there are games when I just fall in love with him, like I've always been in love with him, and there are games when I go, "Alex, what are you doing? What is going through your mind that's making you do those things?" I still want him to be great. And they didn't play very good interior defense. The one thing that happened in that game that, to me, that stood out was that Missouri exposed Florida's lack of physicality at the guard position. And I've said this before, Klavchar is not a very good defender. I thought Fland would be a little bit better than he is as a defender because he's long. But Xavier Lee's not a very good defender. And they exposed it. They were going down to a 6'7" guard and Cruz, and he was eating them alive. Finally, what did they do in the second half? They put Thomas Houck on him, and Thomas Houck is just a beast. He's just incredible. He's the best player not only on this team, but he's going to go in that list when I do them of best players to ever play at Florida. He's going to be among them. I'm not saying where he would – I got to wait till his career is over, but, I mean, the guy is – going to be a first-round NBA pick. I don't think there's any question about it. Anyway, Florida's still number 27 in the net. They didn't drop that much because it was a road game, but they could have picked up a valuable win there in terms of points. And they led almost the entire first half. And a guy makes a 3 who's never made a 3 in his career. I mean, that is kind of their – and look, they got a million bad calls in that game. Some of them were iffy. Some of them were just bad calls. And – sometimes it goes that way. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying, when you win the national title, sometimes people look at you a little differently, and sometimes the refs look at you differently. Anyway, I didn't think they were very good in that game, but I learned long ago complaining about refs does you no good. So, at any rate. All right, let's move on to number 2 before I pop a vein here on our Royal Blues starting 5. And that is the portal. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you who's going where because we've been through that. And there are a million players in the portal. No, there are 4,500, at least more than that. It's at least 4,500 that are in the portal. They're not going to all find places to play. Some of them are going to drop out of school. This is not what this was intended for. It is stupid. It is unreasonable. And it's unsustainable, except that they keep sustaining it. And guess who's suffering on this? High school kids who would normally move into some of these slots. Guys aren't recruiting, a lot of schools aren't recruiting the full allotment anymore. They're going, we got to save scholarships for the portal guys. But I will tell you about players that Florida gets and about players that other teams get that are playing Florida this year, because to me that's as significant as anything. Let's start out. Florida did apparently find a replacement for Jordan Castell, who was an average player, I would say. He made a lot of big plays and he made a lot of big mistakes, but I still didn't hate him the way some people do. So they get this kid, DJ Coleman from Baylor. I look at his stats, okay, we'll just see. We'll find out what kind of player he is. You look at all the players, like Asa Turner, got hurt, never did anything at Florida. We talked about that. I don't know if we got into that last week with the portal thing that Scott Carter did. He did a deep dive and he listed them all, and that way I could go through and cherry pick good ones and bad ones. Well, anyway, Ace Eterno was one of those guys that just never lived up to it because he was hurt a lot. So you never know. We'll just see. They got a tight end from James Madison. Apparently, Billy was going this way. The tight end was coming this way. And they just doffed each other's caps as they passed on the road. Sharif Denson, who I liked as a player, skinny corner, skinny nickel, whatever he played, he made a lot of good play. I thought he was a good player. He's going to be at Ole Miss, so of course Ole Miss plays Florida this year. Hayden Hansen goes to Oklahoma, signs with them. Of course, Oklahoma plays Florida. Both those games are in Gainesville. So you know what that says? They want to come back to Gainesville and stick it to Florida. Anyway, and then I don't know where we are with the Sam Levitt to Kentucky thing. I thought he had signed with them, but then this Trinidad Chambliss thing came up. Chambliss has re-signed with Ole Miss. He's got a waiver in. They put the waiver in for him, the waiver request for a 6-year. I would ask for a 7th, too. You might as well. I mean, nobody's stopping anything anymore. I think he'll get the 6-year, which means he'll play against Florida. He'll be throwing to he won't be throwing to Hayden Hansen. Anyway, the point is, because of that, now LSU's back in the Sam Levitt Derby, I guess, is the way to put it. Of course, some people consider him the number one transfer to the portal. But if he goes to Kentucky, he'll be playing against Florida, of course, in Lexington, because Florida's got to play 2 straight games there, which still didn't make sense. Anyway, the portal's a mess. It is just too much to keep up with, but we'll try to keep you up in terms of guys that Florida gets, and as we hear more about them. I know a bunch of them were in the restaurant last night or Saturday night for dinner and with all the Florida coaches, and they had a great time. And the tight end was here, so I did Dupree, I think is his name. So we'll see how that goes. All right, let's get to number 3 on our Royal Blue starting 5, which is now know our college football playoffs. They have been set. Miami is playing Ole Miss in the Fiesta Bowl in Oregon against Indiana in the Peach Bowl, and then the winner's playing Miami. So it'll be interesting. Miami right now 3.5-point favorite over a team that we never know who's going to be coaching them. We know Pete Golding's going to be there. That's about it. And then Oregon, Indiana. Indiana is a 4-point favorite over Oregon. There's a part of me that wants to pick Oregon. I'm not picking against Cignetti again. I don't want him staring me down. But the good news is we have a great competition in our playoff picks that Drew Copeland and I did, and we are dead even right now going in. Indiana, he's got Indiana and Oregon, and I've got I got the U and Ole Miss. So one of us we're both gonna lose one way or another. One game, we're both gonna win one game, so it's gonna come down to so if it comes down to Indiana or Oregon against Miami, I will root for Drew to win. Let's just put it that way. But I appreciate Zach doing that and keeping us up to date, because one year Drew texted me, he says, "Man, you're killing me." And I go, "Really? I have no idea. I hadn't looked at it." So thanks for doing that. All right, let's move along to number 4 in our Royal Blue starting 5. And that is I was talking about violating 2 of my resolutions already, only not even a week into the year. One of them I mentioned before was getting mad at an announcer or muting an announcer. I did not mute Tom Hart, though. I will say that. The other was sitting on my recliner watching sports all day. Now, usually it's football, but I watched all that SEC basketball, and it was great stuff. I know obviously the Florida result was not good, but it was a good game in terms of, 2-point game. The Arkansas-Auburn game, Arkansas is really good. I'm sorry, Arkansas-Kentucky. I'm not sure Kentucky Kentucky's going to be what they are that day. And I don't know that they're going to be a team that gets better as the season goes along. They're going to be whatever they are that day. And especially on the road. I think that's part of the problem. Taking a new team on the road can be a problem. The Georgia-Auburn game, if you didn't see the finish of that, was incredible. With Georgia up 4 with 1 second to go and went to overtime and then won in overtime. But Mike White's got a really good team there. And then Mississippi State, Texas, great Sean Miller audio after the game where he said, if you tell your kid, don't cross the street, don't cross the street, don't cross the street, and then one day he crosses the street and he gets hit by a car, you're going to feel bad for your kid, but you're also going to say, how many times do I have to tell you? Now, I guess he's saying, don't foul, don't shoot threes, don't – whatever he's telling his team, they're not getting. But that game went to overtime. So, anyway, it was a really fun day of watching basketball, and we got a few things done as well. All right, let us move along to our number 5 on our Royal Blues starting 5, which is Steve and Christine Wendig, Bossart Realty. They present the Olympic Gator of the Week, and we always love that. And we're going to have more going on now as we're getting to the point where we're going to have a lot. Of course, gymnastics starts Friday, so that's always a big factor in Olympic athletes of the week. Ours this week, though, of course, women's basketball, they played a tough game, 74-63 losers to South Carolina, number 3 in the country. They had, it's not like they had a chance to win, but they always had a chance they always competed. But I watched it for a little while, and as soon as I turned it over, they turn it over. As soon as I turned it over, they turn it over. Maybe that may be why I shouldn't turn it over. But anyway, they played okay. But I was really happy to see Emily Dockett play a good game. She had a career-high 10 points in the game. They've got good players. They just got to figure out how to play together as a team. And they got to get that done. They play Thursday against Texas A&M at home. So if you want to go out there, it's 6,600 for this game. And I know a lot of them are South Carolina fans. I don't care. At least they had butts in the seat. But if you want to go out to this game and cheer on the Lady Gators, you are welcome to do it. Don't forget, again, Friday. So Thursday you got women's basketball at home. And then Friday, gymnastics at home. Pretty sure it's at home. I probably should have looked that up. All right. That's going to do it for our Royal Blue starting 5. We appreciate Steve and Christine Wendig from Bossart Realty. And we'll be back with Coach Spurrier, who is brought to you by Meldon Law every Monday, except next Monday, some Mondays before. But at most Mondays, let's just put it that way. We'll be back on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. All right, it may be a new year, but it doesn't mean you have to back off any of your goals as far as losing weight. I know I've been working even harder on it, and of course I get an assist from BMI TeleMed. They help us out with our New Year's resolutions, even if I've already broken 2 of them. Not the food ones, though. Weight loss is your goal. Get with BMI TeleMed. They use GLP-1 medications, and they are individualized. And that's the great thing. I've been through this, and Charlie, just talking to him, it was so great to make him understand, and he understood what I was doing. It's not about just losing weight. It is about keeping it off. You know that. We're all excited about the new year, and we're going to lose weight. But when you lose it in the first month, then you got to keep going. BMI TeleMed is sensible. It's straightforward. It's affordable. No contracts or hidden costs. BMI TeleMed is donating $1 for every pound you lose to the Florida Victorious Foundation. So go Gators. I'll join the listeners on this podcast who've already lost over 600 pounds. Are you kidding me? I'm 60 of them right there. All right, contact BMI TeleMed today at 727-383-1677.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, 2 things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great. Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Meldon Law, of course, the sponsor when Coach Spurrier is here on Meldon Mondays, and we appreciate Coach being here. He won't be here next week. He's got to go up to Duke and have him look at your back a
Yeah, they're
little
going to
bit.
look at my spine and see if there's anything they can do to help out. Tiger Woods has had 7 back surgeries.
Wow.
And he's, of course, still struggling. And I've had all the stuff done. But I don't know. Maybe they can help. Maybe they can't. But you explore every opportunity. So we'll see what can happen up there.
Yeah, I think your good friend Chris Lowe is going to join us in your place. So
Oh, okay.
that's a good replacement, right?
Yeah, no question about it. But we got a lot to go over
Oh, gosh.
after all these bowl games and playoffs, don't we?
It's so much. And the portal and all that stuff is going on. College football, you're going to need a program to figure out what coaches where, what assistants are where. Florida got 2 guys so far have committed from the portal, a tight end that I've never heard of, and a defensive back that'll replace Jordan Castell. But it's just crazy. I'm sure you're happy you never had to deal with it.
Yeah, I wouldn't look forward to that. But once you analyze it, every year you do this now. It's like every year there's recruiting, except your recruits usually stay 4 or 5 years. Now they stay 1 year.
Yep.
Or some of them stay longer, of course. But every year is a new cycle. And that's how teams like Indiana can be the best in the country. Of course, Signetti and his staff, when you watch them play, you say these guys are the best coached team in America.
Yeah,
they don't mess up.
Efficient is
Oh,
all.
yeah.
They just kept coming out
They
to my
block,
head.
they
Efficient.
tackle, they run the ball, they throw the ball. Menendez was 19 of 21 passing the other day. He had more touchdown passes than he had incompletions. And that was against a
Pretty good team.
Pretty good team called Alabama. Yeah. So anyway, it's interesting. But SEC, we sort of got slapped in the face during the bowl season and even the playoffs a little bit. Fortunately, we got Ole Miss out there representing the SEC. But we lost every bowl game except Texas. I think Texas won theirs.
Texas, and there was, I think, one other. But
down the road, maybe somewhere, but I couldn't find another SEC bowl win.
I tell you what.
We won a playoff game.
Yeah.
Oklahoma won a playoff game. And then Texas, of course, beat Michigan for our lone straight bowl game victory.
Yeah, people are jumping all over this and ripping the SEC and saying it was way overrated and everything. And I'm like, well, bowls are different animals. I mean, a lot of teams didn't even have their coach for the bowl game.
Yeah.
They had, whether it was like LSU, and teams like that, and they lost a tough game.
But a lot of those bowl games were good games, you know.
They were good
games.
games,
They were competitive. The guys who showed up wanted to play.
Yep.
Every now and then, there's 4 or 5 didn't want to play, don't want to get hurt,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. Well, the guys that replace them, maybe they want to play better than the guys that left. So that's why I enjoyed watching a bunch of the bowl games because the guys really competed.
Yep.
It was important to who wins or loses the game. And that's what I think all the fans love to see.
Yeah, it was important to the players that were on the field, and that's all that really mattered to me. It's kind of like the last weekend of the NFL when coaches all of a sudden will start throwing flea flickers and reverses because they aren't playing for anything. So, hey, we might as well go ahead and do all the risky plays we didn't want to do before. So I love watching that too.
Yeah, that's true also. But anyway, Ole Miss, they play Thursday night, I think.
Thursday.
And so they're still alive,
against Miami.
getting ready to play Miami, and then Indiana, Oregon right after that. So it'll be well watched, and I think all of America, if you're not with Oregon or Indiana or Miami, you're pulling for Ole Miss.
Yeah.
We're all pulling. Everybody's pulling for Ole Miss right now. Seems like.
Who'd have thought that we'd all be Ole Miss fans?
Yeah.
Because when Lane Kiffin was there, we kind of rooted against him.
Yeah,
So-
they're sort of underdogs in this playoff.
Oh, yeah.
And-
Especially with what's going on with
yeah,
the coaching
and
staff.
with coaching
everything
staff
like
going
that.
back and forth. So America, we love to pull for the underdog a little bit. So we'll see what happens this week.
It is amazing, though, the how much college football has changed. And I wrote a little thing about this on Patreon, how, look, this is what it is, and it's not. Everybody said it's unsustainable, blah blah blah, and now quarterbacks are getting $5 to $7 million, which is what Sam Levitt's commanding. It's what the kid from Sorsby that went to Texas Tech, and of course they go, yeah, we got $5 million for a new quarterback. When Carson Beck got 4, that was considered ridiculous, and now he's in the semifinals, but. I don't know, man. It's just, it feels like, and you actually, we talked about this earlier. They showed this on ESPN Saturday about you talking about we need to give the players a little bit of money and get ahead of this. And
That
you
was
told
only
you told the owners that. Or not the owners,
2013
the,
and 14 at the SEC meetings. Oh, I said let's $1,000, $2,000 a game. If they made $2,000 a game, $24,000 a year. Man, they could pay their parents' way in, pay their parents' motel, take girlfriend out to dinner or whatever. Just have a little bit of spending money. But we didn't give them anything back in those days, and then all of a sudden it's unlimited now.
Unlimited is the right word
Unlimited.
for it. There's supposed to be a cap, but it doesn't exist.
That's right.
It is crazy and wild.
It's good for college players right now.
It's good for college players, and you know what else? It's good for teams that maybe could never dream of playing for national championships because you can buy one now.
Yeah.
You can at least buy an opportunity to be in the playoffs. It's what Texas Tech did. It's what Indiana did, and they've already hit it in the portal this year. They got a quarterback. They've got everybody lined up just to plug and replace.
I saw an article on Fernando Mendoza. He's from Miami, and he's from Cuban heritage and so forth. I think his granddad came over or something. But he said growing up, 20, 30 years ago, all the Cuban kids wanted to play baseball.
Yeah.
So baseball was their sport. Then all of a sudden, down in Miami, all these football players are all over the high schools and this, that, and the other. And now they're they want to play football. And, of course, the money is a little bit bigger maybe in football right now, going to college certainly, than it is baseball. But, football is a popular sport, no question about it.
No, you're right. I didn't even think about that. It used to be that you had to make a decision on baseball whether to go pro or play in college.
Right.
Now you might be able to make as much in college, maybe not, but if you're even a really good player, you should go to football because there was a trend of people not to let their kids play football when the concussion stuff was all
injuries
going
and all
around.
that.
Yeah, and now I think it's like you better play football. That's a pretty good way to make money.
Well, you play wherever your talent takes you, but Fernando Mendoza, he is. Fernando, I get that name confused a little bit. He is a sharp young man,
He is.
and he was probably the most valuable player in the bowl game. But he told the guys, "Give it to my offensive lineman." They gave it to an offensive lineman after they clobbered Alabama in the where they were out there in the Rose Bowl. But that's where they played it. Yeah,
Have you ever played in the Rose Bowl?
I've never been there.
Really?
Yeah.
I was just thinking because there's no reason for you to go there.
No, there's never been a reason to go watch a game there. But
I've been twice.
played-
I covered a Super Bowl and another game there.
I have coached in the L.A. Coliseum and played there with the 49ers, of course. But I don't know Southern Cal, is that the only team that uses that now?
Yeah.
I think. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. But
It's not in a great part of
yeah,
town.
the Chargers and the Rams, they're at another ballpark.
SoFi. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird. I know also you went to saw some women's basketball this weekend because your South Carolina Gamecocks were playing your Florida
Yeah,
Gators.
watched a little bit of that yesterday. We had a good crowd there.
Yeah.
Women's basketball has not had big crowds too much over the years, but had a decent crowd there. And South Carolina is a top 5 team in the country as usual. And we were sort of close. I think we lost by 8 or 9 or something. But
They hung in there.
Yeah, it was a good crowd, loud and so forth. So hopefully we'll get better as the season goes.
Yeah, they're kind of like the men right now. They play everybody tough, but they
Right at the end.
just can't get it done at the end.
Yeah, I saw where Vandy women's team upset LSU.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of. It's interesting because I think all 5 of our starters are new players. I didn't recognize any of them, and the same way with South Carolina. Everybody's got a new team every year, and that's what's
every sport,
causing so much evenness, I guess is the word.
Yeah, that's
all
the
over
good
the country.
benefit of it, is that it is evening out the playing field. That's the good part of it. The bad part is the guys are entitled and everybody jumps in the portal right away and they don't care. They just are going to do it. But that's the other rule that, the people that, like me, were screaming, you can't block these guys from transfer, and if they want to go and they want to play the next year, you ought to be able to do it. But we didn't say you can do it 6 times,
Yeah.
and get more money at each time. Jaden Rashada's in the portal again. The guy, of course, who Florida thought they had,
Yeah.
and actually signed, and then he took off. So it's crazy. It's a wild and weird
Yeah.
situation.
Of course, some of them can come back. I think
They
you
can.
can jump in and say, "Nah, if you want them back, I don't think you have to take them unless you
No,
want
well,
to."
Amir Jackson came back, but there was a story about Parker Livingston, who was Arch Manning's his roommate at Texas, and he was told, "You need to leave."
Yeah,
I mean, and they just didn't think he was good enough. And
Yeah.
he goes, "Well, I can't believe I'm in the portal. It's not my call."
yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you
that
can-
happens more than we know.
Yeah, you
I
don't
think.
hear when they're told that we can't use you. Yeah,
Well, we also had the NFL playoffs getting set, and I know you're happy your
Oh.
49ers are at least.
I tell you, a big
In
shout out to the Jacksonville Jags.
Yes.
Liam Cohen, their coach. He was at Tampa Bay last year, and of course, Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, and those guys were really good on offense, and they went backwards a little bit this year. But anyway, the Jags, I think, are 13-4, and
Yeah.
last year they were 4-13.
I know.
I think I read that. So they got a chance in the playoffs to go a long way.
And
Maybe
think
all the
about
way.
this: their number 1 draft pick hadn't played the last
No.
He won't play
Hadn't even-
this year. Yeah,
no.
so he played 6 games or so, 7
Travis
games.
Hunter, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had an injury, and it's not, teams win. One player can get hurt, no big deal, and that's what they've done. They've really played well as a team, and Tampa Bay Bucks. They had Liam down there last year, but he got obviously a good offer there at Jacksonville, and it's really worked out well.
I should have made him that offer at Tampa.
They should have, but that's history. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how it all works out. I mean, think about a lot has to do with your schedule too. But how do you explain the Giants and Jets still sucking?
They just
get an
can't do
easy
it.
schedule every year, and they get the top draft pick. And now the
Yeah, that's interesting too. Sam Darnold, I think, the quarterback for Seattle, 2 years in a row, he's been on the team, won 14 games.
Yeah.
Which is, wait a minute, 2 different teams.
yeah,
Why didn't the other
I think
team
he's the
keep
first
him?
guy to do,
Yeah.
or maybe him and Brady did it.
Yeah,
I
Brady
think
might
Brady
have
did
done
it.
it.
Yeah, with Tampa Bay, and then obviously before with
New England.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But, a player, just because you average or get cut one place, you could make it another place.
On the other
So-
hand, you have Sauce Gardner, who was 1-6 with the Jets. They traded him to the Colts to a winning team, and they went 0-8 after because their quarterback got hurt. So his record is 1-15 or 1-14 for the year. So that would be 8-7. It's 1-16. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But it's
that's not good.
interesting, the 2 coaches that got let go, fired by the NFL, their team actually won
I
the
know.
last game, Cleveland and Atlanta there.
So those
So,
minds were made up.
Yeah, that was done beforehand. Of course, Billy Napier won his last game here and was let go. So it
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything nowadays.
Well, you got your mind made up,
Yeah.
and the result of the game doesn't matter. And
That's right.
That's pretty clear. Although winning that game seemed like it was a big deal for Billy, but I think for a lot of people, they were like, "I don't like the way you won. You should have lost." And there was too many of those kind of games. But all right, let's get to our play of the weekend. It is brought to you by our friends at Campus USA. of course, they do a great job, and Coach Spurrier is a sponsor. This was it, and this was an incredible play, and it helped get Ole Miss back in the game. Trinidad Chambliss running around like Fran Tarkenton. That's what I kept thinking about. And then hitting Kyron Lacey with a pass, and Kyron Lacey
He broke the tackle to make first down,
and put his shoulder down, which was hurt. He was out for the last game because of that. So
big play. Mm-hmm.
It's good play, and it's also people that are playing with a lot of want to and just caring about, the Billy Gonzalez talks about the patch all the time. Play for the patch, and I think that's important. But the thing is, all those guys can be in the portal tomorrow. So
they're Ole Miss has got excellent team spirit, and Pete Golding, their head
He's
coach
doing a good
now.
job.
Yeah, he got promoted. I bet nobody could imagine he would be the head coach at the end of the season, but he's doing a heck of a job there, and it's going to be fun watching him.
He could be 2-0 in the playoffs. Yeah. Even when he was when they announced that he was going to be their coach, I was like, really? Because
maybe interim, but not.
But I'm thinking that guy got run out of Alabama. They hated him at Alabama. The fans did. I'm not saying
they had one bad defensive game. Yeah, well, Alabama can do that about all their coaches.
All fan bases are pretty much the same. They all they all have a lunatic fringe, and they all care passionately about it, especially in the South.
That's true. And Kalen DeBoer. Now, he's not going to do what Saban did. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize Alabama had great teams with Nick Saban, but they had number one recruiting class in America. I think it was.
And that's the way you built the team.
14 out of 17 years. Yeah. And the other years they were second, third, or something like that. So when you get the best players, and back then they didn't take off after 1 year. They had to stay 2 or 3, and you got one transfer. So Alabama historically with Bear Bryant and most of those coaches there, they always recruited right near the top. And nowadays with the transfer portal and all this, the talent's going to spread out. And that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. I never asked you this question, whether this is a true story or not, that Travis Carroll came in and wanted to know where his truck was going to be when he transferred here.
Oh, no, he got one at Alabama, but that was way before. That was back in the early 90s. Yeah.
Well, you called them out in the 90s.
He did tell somebody he got a new truck or something.
Yeah.
But no big deal now.
Now you could, you give them multiple trucks. Mm-hmm. We're going to find out guys have like 4 Lamborghinis in their garage, like the NBA players do.
Yeah. Well, Carson Beckett. Georgia had a Lamborghini, took it down to Miami. So Miami, they're spending right there with the top spenders. So it's going to be.
It's about spending, yeah.
Yeah, it's half of it right there, and then you got to have team camaraderie and so forth. And I don't know what happened to Texas Tech in that game with Oregon. They were just. Oh, they had a terrible game. The whole team was just like dead.
I know.
And
sometimes a layoff can affect you that way.
They hadn't played, I think, since December 3rd. Yeah. And so that was about 4 weeks or so, somebody
said. But that's
said.
The normal thing for a bowl game, and you still can come out and play well,
That's
what I kept thinking, but I don't know. It affects different teams differently. So
yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll let Coach go. We appreciate him, as always. We'll miss him. Good luck to everything up there at Duke. And I'll be right behind you if it works
the back
for you.
surgery helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Loosen us up a little bit, yeah.
I mean, you give my name and number. All right, we'll be back with more of another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after this break.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Here are just a few reasons why doing business with the Royal Blue puts you at the helm of your boating lifestyle. 1, The longer we have your listing, the lower percentage commissions you will pay. 2, survey reimbursement for qualified buyers. 3, detail reimbursement for qualified sellers. 4, on-the-water delivery orientation availability. Call us today to schedule a consultation to see what Royal Blue can do to solve all of your boating needs. Call Randy at 850-974-1294. All right, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Always great when Coach Spurrier's on, and always great when Robbie Andrew joins us for Yes, No, Where, Maybe. Robbie Andrew, how are you?
Good, Pat. I would wish you a Happy New Year, but according to Larry David, it's too late for that. You can't do it after January 2nd or 3rd. So
Yeah, I did.
no Happy New Year for you.
I did it to somebody yesterday, and as soon as I sent it, I went, "Oh man, I think I violated the Larry David code."
Yeah,
So
you're too late. Can't do it.
Actually, today I was texting back and forth with somebody, and I wanted to say Happy New Year. I go, "Nope, I'm not doing that."
Yeah, you can't do it. Larry David says no.
Yeah, it was hard to write 2026 on a check, though. That was a weird.
I know it's hard to believe, isn't it?
I'm just glad we're here. You know.
Yeah. I remember when we were in grade school, we would all talk about how old would you be in the year 2000, and now it's 2025 or 6. So,
Well, Zager and Evans said it best. In the year 2525, if man is still alive. All right, no more singing. Robbie, it's time for us to play Yes, No, Where, Maybe. Of course, you're coming to us on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line, and it is sponsored, or Yes, No, Where, Maybe sponsored by Big Mills Cheesesteak, the place to go to get great free fries with your order if you mention this show, and also some of the best food you'll get in Gainesville, right there next to Adams Rib Co., another of our sponsors. We love that corner of Gainesville. All right, let's go, Robbie. Yes, nowhere, or maybe. The AFC, number one. The AFC is wide open with no Chiefs and no Ravens in.
well, I'm going to say absolutely yes on that one, Pat. And not only is it wide open, but there's some really great teams there. I mean, and you know, the team that is starting to, you know, stick out to me is the Jaguars. I mean, they beat Denver on the road a few weeks ago. They're playing great right now, and they're getting Buffalo at home, which I think they'll get by the first round. But yeah, I think it's wide open. I think the Jags are in a good position right now. They had an incredible year.
They're pretty amazing now. I mean, obviously Cam Ward scores the opening touchdown. They go up 7-0, and I was watching the game, and then he goes out with a collarbone. So it feels like everything's breaking right for Jacksonville right now.
Oh yeah, and the quarterback is starting to come into his own now. He's starting to play like we thought he would when he was number one pick in the draft. He's playing great right now, and he's well coached. And the Bucs have to, would they come after this guy after he left to go to the Jaguars? I mean, is there going to be a coaching change in Tampa? Who knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's doing such a great job. And look, we saw this guy, and it's kind of funny at Kentucky because he was so good, left for the NFL, came back, wasn't so good. And I was wondering,
it was weird.
Yeah, and then, but he just didn't have good players. He didn't have a good quarterback.
Yeah.
You got to have a guy who understands it, and it's more than just knowing where to go with the ball. It is knowing how to call protections out. I've learned a lot from Tom Brady this year about protections and how to do that.
Yeah, he's been real good. This guy develops quarterbacks too, which you've seen on the field this year. And back to the AFC, Pat, what about the Patriots? I mean, what an amazing turnaround that they've made. And they're a factor. They could be in the Super Bowl. There are a lot of teams in the AFC that you think could be Super Bowl champion. I don't think the Steelers are going to fit in that category, but who knows? Once you're in the playoff,
Denver's another
game
one.
at a time.
Yeah. I mean, they play incredible defense. Their quarterback's still pretty average, but
but he did make some plays last night.
He did, yeah. Well, he always does just enough to win the game.
That one observation from that game last night, in the new era where a chip shot field goal is 50 yards now, those two awful kicks at the end of the game, the extra point and the potential game winner, were just awful.
And he
They
kicked
were like
it out of
shanks.
bounds on one play too.
Yeah, pretty bad.
Well, that's the thing. This coach and I were talking about how now you get and Judd Davis is the guy who said this on our podcast. You get all the footballs for the year at the beginning of the season, and you've got all year to rub them up and make them, exactly what you want them to be. So you kick them further, and that's why guys are doing this. It used to be you got them every week.
Yeah.
Now you get them
Yeah.
all at the beginning of the year, and
you get a brand new ball and you couldn't get it. Remember the old Southwest Conference? The kickers did that.
yeah.
You got the old inflated, worn out balls, and we're drilling them. So
Yeah, well, Coach was talking about at the SEC meetings. He goes, "Why don't we rub up the balls?" Or no, it was the USFL meetings. Why don't we rub up the balls? He goes, "Well, the NFL does it. We don't want to do it." And so he goes, "No." And they finally, George Allen, he said, jumped in and said, "No, we're going to do it differently. We're going to do it that way." You're right. All right,
it works.
let's get to number 2 on Yes, Nowhere, or Maybe with Robbie Andrew. You never thought you'd be rooting this hard for an Ole Miss team in any consequence.
I would say no way I would think that now, but then with this one, you've got two factors, Pat. You've got the Kiffin factor and you've got the Kane factor. And to me, the Kiffin factor is the bigger of the two because, he's come across as a real jerk now, the way he left Ole Miss and the way he's talking about bringing his coaches over there now. And, I think the whole country is pulling for Ole Miss. And I think Ole Miss has become America's team, and I'm on with them. And, then the other factor, the Canes, we never root for them. We always root against them. So you've got two major factors there on why we're going to love Ole Miss on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's been kind of hard for me. Again, I wasn't rooting for them in the first game, even because they were playing Tulane. I wanted Summerall to be successful, but I was kind of hoping for a 35-34 Ole Miss win, but that didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
But certainly was all in against Georgia, and I got to confess, I went to bed because when they ran back that fumble, I go, this game's over.
You gave up.
No, but when I go to bed, I look at my phone and I'm looking at stuff, and then all of a sudden I go, well, let me check the score before I go to sleep. And it was 24-19, and Ole Miss was on the 9 or something. I went, I jumped up, went in, watched the rest of the game. Next thing, Kelsey's in there watching it with me, and we enjoyed it.
It was a great game. Well, a great, great game. And, see, that Ole Miss quarterback, he played great. And I guess he's trying to get another year, and he's already re-signed with Ole Miss, so that's good.
That's the way. So he's either going to be Ole Miss or they'll say no and he'll go to the NFL. And I mean, he'll be a backup quarterback somewhere. But he'll make a roster. He's certainly got that X factor.
Give Kiffin credit for finding that guy and getting him to the point where he's at now.
Charlie Weiss Jr. is the guy who found him on the internet. So he showed him to Kiffin, and Kiffin, Charlie Weiss Jr. is going to be a head coach pretty soon.
Yeah.
As much as we want to make fun of his dad.
Yeah. And this is why fans shouldn't get caught up in star rankings, Pat, on these recruiting things, because you never know.
Yeah, you don't. All right, finally for Robbie, number 3 on Yes, Nowhere, Maybe. Florida Hoops lacks the clutch gene.
I think it's pretty obvious that, yes, they do, Pat. I mean, all these close games, they've had a chance to make a play or two to win it, and they can't do it. And the other night, Fland had an open 3, and I never thought it was going in, but they had a chance.
That's the problem.
Yeah, so they're lacking that, and also they're not a very good shooting team, Pat, compared to a year ago. And the guard play has been subpar. I think that moving forward, I'm not a coach or anything, but I think they need to start pounding the ball inside a little bit more and give up trying to make all these threes that aren't going in.
I mean, they're shooting 28%. It might help if your 7-foot or 6'11" center didn't take 4 threes in a game.
But why is he out there doing that? That makes no sense.
Look,
he can't make free throws. How's he going to make threes?
Yeah, if they were just setting up the one where it looked like he was going to shoot and he passed a Houck or a tall Tebow, as you call him. That if that was it to set it up, that's great. But then don't let him shoot anymore. But again, Boogie Fland's shooting 20%.
I think he's better than that. I don't know if he's pressing, but I think he is better than that. And he was a year ago at Arkansas. So give him
Yeah,
time.
but
I guess.
at Arkansas, he was a slash guy there, and I think that's what he's really good at is driving the ball to the basket. But he's got to make some shots. I mean, we'll
Got to
see.
do it.
We'll see. All right, Robbie. As always, great stuff, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, Pat. I'll see you again soon.
All right, buddy.
Don't forget, it's not Happy New Year.
So, okay. Thanks to Robbie for coming on, and thanks, Coach Spurrier. As always, we always love having him on. Again, we're going to have a lot of people lined up already to be on the show. We look forward to it. Let's get to our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend, and that is brought to you by our good friends at Adams Ribco, Michelle and Adam over there. Always put Michelle first because she's way better looking than Adam, but Adam's is certainly a fine young gentleman. Anyway, that is the place to go for all your rib needs. And anything else you want. The food over there is tremendous. Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend is Kyle Pitts. And it is because I was rooting for Atlanta to win that game. I'm not a Bucks fan, okay? I was rooting for Atlanta to win that game. I'd rather see Carolina go to the playoffs. Just me. If you're a big Bucks fan, you probably are mad at me right now. But the bottom line is, not only did he recover the onside kick, he did bobble it, but he got on it. That's all that matters. He recovered it. But 6 catches, 58 yards. And this, again, when Kyle Pitts went, he definitely went too high. But I knew he was a good enough player to be a good NFL player. And he has been. And now this year, they finally are throwing him the ball. And I looked up his stats because I was curious. 82 catches for 870 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's doing what they need him to do again. And he actually had a near great, miraculous catch in that game off of a deflection. Anyway, Kyle Pitts is our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. Kyle, it's a standing offer to anybody who wins this award. I'll buy you lunch if you want to meet me at Adams. All right. Let us get to our Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Pick. We had a lot of people get in. I know you guys want to get that $25 gift certificate at Leonardo's. And I tell you what we'll do. We will have a pull on Monday. How about that? A week from today, we'll have a pull for the Leonardo's Pizza of Millhopper Quick Pick. And a lot of you have gotten in, and a lot of you have qualified already, so it won't take much more of us to do this. But we're just going to give it simple to you this week. Florida, Georgia, basketball. That's not hard. Just send it to patrickdooley54@gmail.com. Florida or Georgia, Fla or Ja, F or G is all you got to do, and you'll be entered into the contest. We appreciate Kyle over there at Leonardo's. Does a great job. God, I texted him the other day, and he was too busy to answer I called him. He was too busy to answer my call. Okay, and that's a good sign. And you can get a dual sandwich there, don't forget. All right, let's get to Mark Gaida presents the 12. Mark Gaida from Pepin Realty does a great job over there, and we have been presenting the 12 all year. We love doing this, and we appreciate that he is still a part of us. We are basically set up to do it for the college football season, but he's sticking with us, and that's good. So the 12 today are going to be the 12 teams that are in the NFL playoffs. Oh, wait, they're 14. Yeah, well, I'm not including Denver and Seattle because they have byes in the first round. So these are the 12, and the level of confidence I have in them advancing to the next round. So if I was doing a suicide pool, this would be the way I would go, the order I would pick them. And I would go with number one is Jacksonville. The way they're playing at home. I love that Jacksonville team in the playoffs. I mean, I think they could win the whole thing. But who knows? I mean, I think it's wide open, though. I will say that. I got the Rams, too. I mean, the Rams didn't bother to play in this last game. That's fine. New England, 3. Obviously, the turnaround's been great for them. They've done a great job. They know what they're doing there. They just had to get the right coach involved. Philadelphia at 4. I know Philly is probably – I'm the only guy who's got them at 4. I think they're going to be fine. I don't think you can even worry about the regular season with them. It's just like, okay, they're like the Chiefs, like whatever we do in the regular season, it has nothing to do with what we're going to do in the playoffs. I got Houston at 5, Chicago at 6. I do like Chicago's matchup with Green Bay, and that's one reason. 7 are the Chargers. 8, San Francisco. 9, the Chargers again, apparently, according to my thing here. I should have probably double-checked this. 10, I got Green Bay. 11, Buffalo. And 12, Carolina. I didn't see anything from Carolina yesterday, or that was Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. That made me think, oh, that team's going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. I missed one team, but whatever.
You don't have the Steelers at all.
The Steelers. Oh, yeah. Steelers would be at 10. They were supposed to be at 10.
There you go.
I don't know. How do you feel about the Steelers, being a Steelers fan?
I feel like they drew.
They should have lost last night.
Yeah, they drew about as good as a matchup as they could hope for. It's going to be tough, though. But, I mean, if they're going to somehow win a game, Houston would be the team that they would probably beat to get a win against.
And it's indoors, right?
No, it's
Oh, that's right, because the Steelers won it. Yeah.
Division winner. Yep.
Wow. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I can't wait for the playoffs. I mean, think about that. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. We have games that matter a lot. Got the college football playoff Thursday, Friday, and then the NFL playoff Saturday, Sunday, Monday. All right, let's move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the weekend. Gallo Car Wash, the place to go to get your car washed, because that's what we do, all three of us, get our car washed at Gallo Car Wash. Haven't needed it this weekend because it rained all weekend. It's still spitting out there as well. Okay, so the Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the weekend is the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers didn't show up to play. They're all beat up. We all know that. They held Jordan Love out. The fact that they got smoked had nothing. Nobody cared. But if you're in Vegas, you really cared, and you probably either soaked up some money you weren't expecting to get, or lost some money you were expecting to soak up. But with 1 second left in the game, they call timeout to kick a field goal down. I think it was 16-0. Yeah, 16-0. They make the field goal, 16-3. Spread 13.5. Oh, that's a bad beat right there. If you had the Vikings minus 13.5, and then they cut it to 13. Woof. That's a bad one, and that's a Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the weekend. All right, let's get to our BMI TeleMed Overachiever of the weekend, brought to you by our good friends at BMI TeleMed, your medical weight loss specialists. Achieve and maintain with BMI TeleMed. 727-383-1677 is the number to go to. Just because it's a new year doesn't mean you can't get aboard on BMI TeleMed. All right, let's get to our Overachiever of the weekend, and I will give this to the Indianapolis Colts. And the reason I will give it to them, they didn't make the playoffs, but I'm talking about the Indianapolis Colts, and that is pretty much, you're an overachiever if you get me to talk about them on a week. We had so much going on, but the Colts made it. You know why? They fake punts on consecutive plays. Now, I always tell myself I've not seen it all because I still need to see it. Something else will come. Something new will come. Faking punts on consecutive plays I've never seen. They faked the punt and got a first down. They threw a pass. I mean, you got nothing to lose, so he's going to do it. And then on the next play, they ran up to the line of scrimmage like they were going to fake another punt. The punter's back there. And of course, the team they're playing is trying to get all their players, their defensive guys on the field, and they end up with 12 guys on the field. Got a 5-yard penalty for Indianapolis. So good for them. Of course, they did lose because they lost every game down the stretch. All right. But they are our overachievers of the weekend, and yet underachievers at the same time. All right, let's move along to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, brought to you by our good friends at Hesser and Kipke. Ken and Jennifer do a great job with all your workers' compensation and family law needs. You can reach them at 352-339-9920 or www.hklawfl.com. Hesser and Kipke. All right, let's start with Myles Garrett breaking the single-season sack record. And I was just curious because he got the sack, and remember, he didn't get the sack in the Steelers game because the Steelers said, we're not going to let Myles Garrett break the record. We may lose, but it's okay. Now, I guess maybe that was a good strategy. They ended up winning the last game. But Strahan was on, of course, who had the record, and he was talking about how, don't forget, Myles Garrett is only 30 years old. And I went, really? That's impossible. So I double-checked. Yes, he's 30 years old. He could play 5-6 more years. How much he wants. He's making plenty of money. But I looked it up because I'm curious. He's got 75 to go to get the record. Bruce Smith still has the record with 200 even. And so he's got 75 to go to get that. Actually, 74 and a half to go to get that record. So we'll see if he's or 75. Yeah, we'll see if he's able to get that record. But he may be able to get it if he wants it. It's pretty interesting. Number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. The Raiders are on the clock. Tick-tock. Because they secured the number 1 pick in the draft with all the games that happened over the weekend. Good for them, How are they going to screw this up? Now, I can't wait to see who they end up picking. Probably like Jeremiah Smith. Go get a receiver when you have no quarterback. That's what they like to do. Which brings us to number 3 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things, because I want to get to this. It's Black Monday, as you all know, where coaches get fired in the NFL like crazy, one after another. We can't keep up with them. In fact, just as we were recording this, Pete Carroll got fired. Not a big surprise there. It was just an awful season. I thought it was a good hire until he brought Geno Smith with him, and then I went, that's not going to work out. But just things were not functional with that thing. And then, of course, telling Max Crosby, we don't want you to get hurt again. We don't want you to play in the penultimate game. And he walks off and is mad because they want to keep his value to trade him. So I don't know what's going to happen with the Raiders, but I'm not a Raiders fan either, so that's okay with me. It is interesting, though. So he got fired. Stefanski got fired today, and Raheem Morris last night. The Falcons are changing their whole process of how they go about things. They're going to have a team president that they're going to hire from outside. Rich McKay has been demoted to being in charge of all the Home Depots, I think in Sheboygan, something like that. Anyway, we'll see what happens there. All right. Let's get to our Matt Lerner presents the club team of the weekend. Again, we are still waiting for teams to get cranked up, but they're all practicing right now and get ready to go. Lerner Law is the place to go, though. If you need any help with your closing, you don't want that to be stressful. It is, believe me, you need it to be as less stressful as possible when you're closing on any kind of house or property. And Lerner Law is the place to go to be able to do that. All right, let's move along to our Swamp games of the weekend, or the games of the week, I'm sorry. Don't get to the weekend yet. The weekend is full. We know that. Just to tell you that Thursday is the Fiesta Bowl, Miami and Ole Miss. That'll be at 7:30 on ESPN, but I'm sure most of you know that. Let's just give you a lot of basketball games here. Tuesday, Duke at Louisville, 7 o'clock on ESPN. I'm only giving you SEC or ranked unranked here. Duke at Louisville, that'll be a good game. Louisville's pretty good this year. Georgia, Florida, of course, is 7 o'clock on the SEC network if you're looking for that, which means we won't get Jimmy Dykes, I think. That's good. That's another one. See, I'm already totally blown that resolution. I'm hammering announcers. Texas Tech at Houston, another good game. FS1 at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, and Texas is playing at Tennessee at 9 o'clock on ESPN2. Wednesday, you got Missouri at Kentucky. Team Florida just played Missouri, and we'll see how they play at Kentucky. That's on ESPN2 at 7, and then Arkansas at Vanderbilt. I never thought I'd be saying that's a huge game. It is. It's unbelievable. Arkansas just beat Kentucky. Vanderbilt can't lose. That's at 9 o'clock on ESPN2. And that is going to do it for another Duly Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Thanks to all of our great advertisers. We appreciate them. We do have an opening for one spot if somebody wants to get on board. And you know how to reach me, Patrick Dooley, 54 at ESPN. No, Patrick Dooley 54 at email. Okay, Patrick Dooley 54 at gmail.com. I'm tired. All right. All right. Let's get out of here, and we'll come back with a good show on Thursday. Look forward to talking to Scott Strickland. Until then, I am Pat Dooley. I am deep. I am way back, and I am out.